Hello and welcome to YNWA Transfer News, your ultimate source for all Liverpool FC transfer news. Our first news is this. Gary Neville and Ian Wright disagree on Man City versus Liverpool prediction. As Reds give an Arsenal hope, Gary Neville and Ian Wright had different predictions for both of this weekend's games in the Premier League that involve the current top four. First placed, Arsenal travels to fourth-place Sunderland on Saturday, before third-place Liverpool travels to second-placed Manchester City on Sunday. Neville backed Liverpool to claim a narrow win away to City, while also predicting Sunderland to claim what would be a surprise draw against Arsenal. Liverpool goes into Sunday's game off the back of back-to-back wins against Aston Villa and Real Madrid. They're awkward Sunderland, aren't they? I'll go with 1-1, Neville said on the Stick to Football podcast. I don't really know why I've done that. I fancy Arsenal, but Sunderland are tough there. If those results were to happen, Liverpool would end the weekend just 5 points off Arsenal in the standings. Contrastingly, Wright expects Arsenal to win and Liverpool to lose, which would stretch the gap between the two sides to 10 points. A draw would be a good result for Arsenal, but I think Man City will beat Liverpool, Wright said. I just look at Liverpool's defense this season and the way Erling Haaland is blasting past teams. Despite saying a draw at Sunderland would be a good result for Arsenal, Wright confirmed he expects the Gunners to win. We're playing well. I'm going 2-0 Arsenal. Meanwhile, City boss Pep Guardiola revealed that he spent Tuesday evening watching Liverpool's win over Real Madrid in the Champions League. Guardiola said that he was surprised by Liverpool's recent run of bad form, which saw the Reds succumb to 6 losses in the space of 7 games in all competitions. But the team appears to be back on track now after back-to-back wins and back-to-back clean sheets over Aston Villa and Real Madrid at Anfield over the last few days. Guardiola is looking forward to pitting his wits against Arne Slot once against after City lost both games against Liverpool last season. Of course, it surprised me a lot that they lost a lot of games, but sometimes it's about momentum, Guardiola stated. All the clubs are there except Arsenal, who are more consistent than anyone. But the season is long, so we try to be there and see what happens. To be honest, I'm so excited and happy to prepare for Sunday. I'm desperate to play against Liverpool, and we'll see what happens. Goal a game. Striker tracked by Everton could move in January as transfer bids expected. FC Midtjylland are braced. For bids for an informed striker, Danish media are convinced is on Everton's radar, Francolino. Diju was first linked to the Blues in the summer and has since had a storming start to the season, hitting 13 goals in 13 games at the start of Denmark's Superliga. He also has 2 goals in his side's Europa League campaign. Reports from multiple Danish media outlets, from Bold to Campo, state Everton have had scouts in attendance at the 21-year-old's games this season. They are said to have been joined by representatives from Bologna and other clubs from across Europe. The claims come as David Moyes continues to search for answers up front. Beto and summer signing Thierno Barry have both struggled in front of goal across recent weeks, a source of frustration intensified by Everton having been punished for missing chances in each of their last 3 games against Manchester City. Tottenham Hotspur and Sunderland. Moyes has repeatedly expressed faith in both forwards and whether he would turn to another young player without Premier League experience in a bid to solve the current problem is debatable. His club appears ready for interest in Diju and Guinea-Bissau teammate of Beto in January. However, Midtjylland sporting director Christian Bach spoke to TV2, in quotes relayed by Tipsbladet via Sports Witness, revealing they have already started looking for another attacker. He said this week, "We are also looking through the entire market to find that proven goal scorer, and if we had seen Francolino somewhere with everything he can do, he would probably have been our first choice too. If he continues as he is doing now, there will of course be interest in Francolino already this winter. We know that very well. Ian Wright has made damning Alexander Isak claim, and he's sadly right." Liverpool fans are eagerly awaiting the return of Alexander Isak from injury. Not many of the Reds' new signings have started the new season in impressive form, with the only one who really has being Hugo Ekitike. The person who this will frustrate the most will be Isak, as Although he wants the best for his teammates, he is in direct competition with the Frenchman for one spot in the side. The fact the Swede has been injured has also set him back even further. With Reds fans still yet to witness the best version of Isak at their club, Ian Wright has also made a damning claim about the 125mm man, and as much as Liverpool supporters will hate to admit it, he is probably right. Alexander Isak has not lived up to expectations. Coming in for a British record transfer fee will never be easy. With the pressure on his shoulders immense, however, the disappointing thing is that he has barely had time to prove himself since he had returned to full fitness, with his injury occurring just after he was ready to be properly judged. This has left many people underwhelmed, not just Reds fans, with Wright believing he has been one of the most disappointing players so far. I'm going to reshape it. The player that's not lived up to expectations so far this season. Would you say Isak from that point of view? Wright was asked on Stick to Football. Probably, yeah, with all the noise that was coming, you'd probably go with it. You'd probably say Isak, he replied. Because now the thing with Isak, the pressure is that when he comes, he has to do it. Because the guy who's playing Ekitika is actually doing it. Liverpool will have to wait until after the international break to see Alexander Isak properly. It seems to be a constant cycle that Isak will not be back fit until after another international break. But that is the case. Arne Slot confirmed that he might be fit enough to make the bench against Man City, although even then he will not be at his best if he does come on. New Sweden manager Graham Potter has included him in his squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, though suggesting he is close to full fitness. Liverpool will be worried about another potential injury. However, with the next few weeks going to be stressful ones for Slot and fans alike. Liverpool news. 100mm. Price tag slapped on transfer target as Star says, absolutely not. Liverpool are putting their poor run of form behind them as they secured 3 points against both Aston Villa and Real Madrid this week. The Reds made it 2 wins from 2 in the Premier League and Champions League with Mohamed Salah, Ryan Gravenberch, and Alexis McAllister all on the score sheet. Oh, hugely important game against Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium is on the horizon for Arne Slot's side, but the Dutchman has been quick to praise his team for getting back on track. Speaking post-match, Slot said, "Impressive, because we played against an incredible side, a team that is in an unbelievable run of form. Only lost once. Won all the other games. If you then can win against them, but also with the performance we had, that's very positive. But apart from everything we can say, we beat them because of a set piece. It's nicer to talk about this if you win, because if you lose, people come up with that. I try to find excuses. But a positive set piece balance is the minimum you need to get a result 9 out of 10 times. And that's what we had today. Here, YNWA Football has all the latest news from Anfield, including a potential transfer deal-breaker and one star cementing his place in the Liverpool side. 100mm price tag slapped on transfer target. With a whopping $446 million spent in the summer, Liverpool are still on the lookout for more stars to add to their lineup. Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers is one that has been on the Reds' radar for some time, with interest in the England international reported as the Villains struggled to meet PSR requirements. However, Rogers has stayed put in Birmingham for the time being and is of interest to a number of other clubs, including Arsenal and PSG. Now, a report from Team Talk claims that Villa are planning to add another year to the 23-year-old's contract in the near future, as well as a release clause. That will total 100 million. Rogers is currently tied to Villa until 2030, following a renewal less than a year ago, but this new extension will likely put off a number of clubs who may be vying for his signature. The England international has impressed at Villa Park since joining in 2024, scoring 18 goals and assisting 19 times in 84 appearances. For the club, Slot may still be keen in adding more attacking power to his squad and hefty price tags. Haven't been a deterrent to the big spenders at Anfield in recent times. Warnock's unsung hero, absolutely not. Ex-Liverpool defender Stephen Warnock has sung the praises of Dominik Szoboszlai, claiming the midfielder has blocked Florian Wirtz from taking his place in the side. highlighting the Hungarian's performance against Real Madrid on BBC Radio 5 Live's Football Daily podcast. The 43-year-old said, "Arne Slot has been trying to get some continuity in his back four and midfield. They were trying to get back to what they were doing best last season, and they did that against Real Madrid. It's a huge step forward, and now it's about drip-feeding their newer players in, but first they will have to come to terms with how Liverpool play and why Liverpool were successful last season." Alexis McAllister and Ryan Gravenberch weren't great at the start of this season, but they have been really impressive in the past 2 games. They have to continue that form now. It's imperative you have those two on the pitch, but when you add in Dominik Szoboszlai, wow! The energy he has, the recovery challenges he makes, and the way he gets to the edge of the penalty area is so impressive. Warnock went on to claim Szoboszlai has indirectly kicked Wirtz out of the conversation in Slot's midfield. He added, "There was talk about Florian Wirtz taking his place, but he has said, absolutely not. You're not having my place." Erik ten Hag in talks to replace former Liverpool coach as manager. The past year has not been kind for Erik ten Hag. From a professional point of view, he was sacked by Manchester United in October 2024, following a disastrous start to the campaign that saw the club languish in 14th place. Furthermore, ten Hag's managerial credentials were severely dented during his brief spell in Germany with Bayer Leverkusen, where he lasted just 62 days and 2 Bundesliga matches before being dismissed in early September. Ten Hag publicly expressed shock at the decision, claiming the club failed to provide him adequate time and trust to implement his vision. Now facing an uncertain future, the 55-year-old finds himself exploring various options, including potential interest from Wolverhampton Wanderers. However, a sensational return to Ajax could be on the cards as well. Dutch outlet AD has reported that Ajax technical director has been speaking to Erik ten Hag, although it was claimed that it was just a meeting that had been planned for some time. According to those involved, it was just a coffee appointment that had been planned for some time, but last Monday morning, Ajax director Alex Kroos spoke extensively with Erik ten Hag in his hometown of Huizen. The unemployed coach was not yet roped in as a successor to John Heitinga in that conversation. But Kroos will have realized on Wednesday evening on the honorary terrace of the Johan Cruyff Arena what he has to do. Make an urgent appeal to the sense of honor, the Tucker. Of course, ten Hag would be replacing former Liverpool coach John Heitinga, who's had a difficult spell at Ajax since leaving Liverpool this past May. Ajax's form has left the club bottom of the Champions League standings with 4 defeats from 4 games, while domestically they languish, 8 points adrift of leaders PSV Eindhoven and Feyenoord in 4th position. Their latest bad result came courtesy of a 3-0 home, hammering to Galatasaray in the UEFA Champions League this week. As a result, the AFCA Supporters Club has called unequivocally for Heitinga's removal from the dugout. Liverpool transfer news. Reds now set sights on key Newcastle star also wanted by Chelsea. Whilst Ibrahima Konate could leave Liverpool next summer, the English club are studying several options to replace him in the transfer market, including a Newcastle key player who is also courted by Chelsea. With his contract expiring next June, Ibrahima Konate could well leave Liverpool. Real Madrid are attempting to attract him to Spain. In order to anticipate the potential departure of their English defender, the Merseyside club are scrutinizing the transfer market, searching for the ideal replacement. Mark Guehi is one of the players mentioned, but the Crystal Palace captain is also followed by Barca, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich. Liverpool must therefore have several options to avoid another failure at this position during the summer 2026 transfer window. The English press have announced for several weeks that Sven Botman is a possibility for the Reds. However, according to information from outlet Caught Offside, Chelsea are also strongly interested in the former LOSC central defender. Will Sven Botman set Premier League market alight? With his contract expiring in June 2027, Sven Botman could be one of the attractions of the transfer market because if the Dutch player decides not to extend his contract at Newcastle, then the Magpies will seriously consider a sale. The 25-year-old player is valued at $34 million on Transfermarkt. But there is no doubt that Newcastle will demand a far larger sum if Liverpool and Chelsea genuinely position themselves. The last time the Blues and the Reds competed over a deal was for Moises Caicedo in 2023. Chelsea paid $115 at the time, making the Ecuadorian midfielder the most expensive player in Premier League history, before being overtaken by Alexander Isak this summer. The former Lille Rock could well launch a new battle at the summit between the two English giants. Thank you for watching. Like and comment, subscribe.